dia, Portugal!
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show live stream and the podcast. Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Ian. Good morning, James. How are you this morning? And Deagle, of course, who are in so far. If you're just arriving and you feel aggrieved or maybe relieved that I haven't name checked you, feel free to say hi in the chat this morning. It's a hump day, Wednesday, meetup day here in San Martinho de Porto, which I was actually writing about this morning. Morning, Andy, as well. I hope to see you later. I had a great meeting at the Storytellers Hotel, Storytellers Palace Hotel here in San Martinho de Porto, and was writing about it and Florbella Espanca. What? Yes, Florbella Espanca. Do you know about her? Most incredible. I mean, if you like, comparisons are odious, of course, as Oscar Wilde, I think, famously once said. However, if you're trying to pigeonhole Florbella Espanca, Portuguese poet, think Sylvia Plath and Virginia Woolf to give you an idea of where she was coming from. Died at the age of 36 and lived a somewhat tumultuous life, but left us some gems, which I included in my article that I was up until about 2 o'clock this morning writing. Not because it was hard work necessarily. I really enjoy writing my articles for the Portugal Resident. I just felt like I really wanted to do it justice. So I hope I have, that I have honored the spirit of Florbella Espanca. And it's not every hotel in the world where you can go in and say, I'd like the Espanca suite, please. What, sir? We try to cater for every need, but you're going to have to give us a few moments on this one. Anyway, that should be out sometime soon and stand alongside my growing body of work. Who doesn't like a growing body first thing in the morning? Over there at the Portugal Resident. So let's go see what everyone's saying this morning. You'll be hearing what the doc has to say. He rejoins us, of course, at 9 o'clock this morning. Astrid will be popping in from Expats Portugal at 8:45 or thereabouts. And a new face on the screen. Normally you'd see Bobby O'Reilly alongside the doc at around 9:30 on a Wednesday, or some Wednesdays anyway. This morning it's his colleague Fernando Martinho, writing about San Martinho last night, and we'll be talking to Fernando Martinho this morning from the UrHome and Dynasty Homes team this morning. And he's a bit of an extreme sports fella as well. So I think given what I've been through in the last couple of months, I feel more able to speak to him as I've got more into my physical body and have been going to the gym. What's that? I was looking at what I've written on the screen previously that's got your interest or goat. That's why I've got goat on the screen there. If something's got your goat, do let us know about it. Send in your pictures and videos to 913-590-303. Yeah, and we'll talk to Fernando for the first time at around 9:30 this morning. So I'm really looking forward to meeting him and finding out what he does over there with Bobby O'Reilly. Deagle was in at what? 7:59. Oh, there's another thing. Up late last night writing into the early hours of this morning. And yesterday evening, it was the Portugal Club, of course. The Portugal Clubbers meet on a Tuesday evening. You can join them at Good Morning Portugal, where we take our passion for Portugal to another level. You can join them via goodmorningportugal.com. Last night, we spoke to Ibrahim Zahidi from the Iranian community here in Portugal. There he is, originally from Iran. Ibrahim Zahidi made a life-changing decision 8 years ago to move to Portugal, residing in the beautiful Algarve region, falling in love with the coastal paradise. Got a little clip, actually, from that conversation that we had with him. What a lovely bloke. What a fantastic invitation to go eat Persian food with him. in the Algarve sometime soon. So thank you very much, Ibrahim. Thank you for to the Portugal clubbers who are with us at 8:30 last night, talking to Ibrahim and having a really nice conversation with him. So thank you. Great to make your acquaintance. You are not only a representative of the Iranian community here in Portugal, Ibrahim, you are very likely to be in our Expat Hall of Fame, prolific as you are with the businesses that you've created since you've been here in that 8 years. Okay, Deagle, Bon dia, Carl and Gampers from a calm before the storm morning. Yeah, I'm hearing this in the UK. It's a little bit... is poised upon a storm, isn't it? An official name, Storm Agnes. Agnes, is that a name you would normally associate with a storm? I don't think I've known. I do. Yes, my daughter had a friend called Aggie, which I suspect is short for Agnes. Although it's just as long, isn't it? Aggie and Agnes are actually both 5 letters long. But yes, I've not known many Agneses. Aggie was a lovely girl, a lovely friend to my daughter. So that's not working for me as a storm name. There are worse, aren't there, that you could think of. Expected 80-mile-an-hour winds over there for Deagle. So be careful with strong winds, Deagle. On a positive note, I'm for Portugal next Tuesday. Fantastic. See you next Tuesday, Deagle. 10 nights, first of 4 trips out over the next year ahead in October, April, August, and then October again of 2024. Hope you can join us. Maybe we can tie in one of the Algarve meetups, because we talked to Ibrahim last night about possibly tying in one of the Discovery weekends with him in the Algarve. You'll see from the clip that I played from the interview last night that he was very proud to be sat against the Benagil Caves, which I see in the news. That they've banned, I think, people on paddle boards and kayaks and so on going into the caves for fear of damage, not only to the caves, but to the people who go in on those vessels as well. So great to talk to you, and great to hear of your plans. Great to talk to you, Ibrahim, and great to hear of your plans, Deagle, for coming to Portugal. Coach Turner was in at 8:06 this morning. Looks like we'll miss the storm here in the southeast. Okay. Anyway, it's an exciting day at Chez Turner. Off to test a car for our Portugal road trip next April, head over heart. Now, what does that mean? And what sort of vehicle are you looking at? James the Slug, bon dia todos at 8:06 as well. Great Minds thinking alike. Greeting everybody this morning at 8:06. Feliz Carta, como va todos? And a dad joke warning. Watch out, incoming dad joke. Bigfoot is often mistaken for Sasquatch, and yet I never complains. And yet he never complains. I messed that up. Sorry. It's kind of hard to mess up a dad joke. I think I did it there. Sorry, mate. God's God. Keep them coming. I'll see if I can do any better. God's got, and if you're thinking, no, don't keep them coming, I'm afraid it is. I'm not afraid. I'm delighted to say that dad jokes are well and truly an established part of the patina of this enterprise here and our live stream and podcast that we proudly share with you every weekday morning. And send around the world in podcast form. 2 podcasts, of course, now. The long form, 90 minutes, this show, the soundtrack thereof as a podcast. And if you like it a bit smaller than that, some like it a bit smaller first thing in the morning, then you can listen on Spotify and other podcasting platforms to the Portugal quiz and try something Portuguese elements of the show. All available on the top podcasting platforms. Now, your God Squad tip of the day from Coach Turner, who was coaching a young man last night of 6'2", eyes are blue. No, 6'2", 111 kilos. A big fella. That is a big fella. A big rugby player. He's been sprint training. What? For about 3 months. Now, I think I would get out of the way if he came sprinting towards me at 111 kilos. He's been trained by Coach Turner for 3 months, once a week, and I think he's about 20% faster than when he started. He'll be delighted with you with that improvement, Coach T. It shows that technique is important for improving performance, but also for avoiding injury. Even, rugby players, you want to be avoiding injuries. Not always possible, as you could see, couldn't you? The state of them on Saturday night, well, Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening, when we watched the Ireland-South Africa game, there was blood. Even walking needs good posture. Yeah, everything can be done more mindfully, can't it? I think that's what we're talking about. And I know mindfully, is an overused, could you call it a trope by now? But yes, it is what it's all about, really, isn't it? It's being more mindful about what you're doing. and considering it, having a transcendent view of yourself and your activities. Whatever exercise you do, says Coach Denner with his God Squad tip of today, work on improving your technique. Whatever it is, it will improve your performance, help keep you injury-free, and give you more enjoyment. Whatever it is, what might you be doing today whereby you could improve your technique? Let us know in the chat. And before I forget, before we come on to Chris and Andy and Bob and Pete this morning, I forgot to show a picture last night. What am I talking about? Yesterday morning of Aveiro from Anna. Sorry, Anna, for neglecting this beautiful picture. I don't think we did show it on the screen, did we? That's a beauty, isn't it? Of I mean, if you've been there, you won't have forgotten that vista there of the Venice of Portugal, of course, Aveiro. Beautiful reflection of those lovely buildings over the boats that take you up and down the canals of, well, you could easily think you're in Venice because of the smell mainly, I think. But no, the tourists, the smell of the water, the roar of the grease paint, the smell of the crowd, the tourists, and wonderful Aveiro there, beautifully captured. An early morning shot, I would say, or perhaps the night before. But that looks like a dawn shot to me. How are you getting on, Anna, with your tour of the north, little road trip up there? Oh, and our opener this morning was Show Us Your Natas. Well, Mrs. Show Us Your Natas. And there's mine. And that was a nice thing to be able to contrast. I have for you there, 2017. That was my first. It was momentous. Still got that iPad somewhere. Sat in a cafe on the outskirts of Tamar in 2017 around this time of year. Well, that's why I got to see the picture again on Facebook. And there, comparing and contrasting with one of the hostelries I use now, 2023. Same feeling, same moment, same coffee and pastel de nata moment 6 years later. And in a different part of the country. So hashtag show us your natas. If you want to show me your natas, Mrs. Feel free to do so. You can send them to 913-590-303. The Badger is here. Yes, and we were sorry to correspond last night on the passing of a mutual friend, Jeffrey Powell, an amazing Welshman. Let me get my natas off the screen so that I can pay my proper respects to Jeffrey Powell, a colleague, a friend to me and the Badger back in our days in Newton Abbot in Devon. So rest in peace, Jeffrey Powell. Your artwork will survive you and be known around the world, as will your somewhat, how can I put this? He had a fantastically Welsh curmudgeonliness that I think he would be proud for how I might remember him for his curmudgeonly Welshness. So rest in peace, Jeffrey Powell, and good to see you here this morning, Badger, George, Jorge, who is telling us that another interpretation of GOAT is the greatest of all time. Of course it is, and Cristiano Ronaldo often gets referred to by that handle. We've got Astrid joining us now. It's 8:45 already. I can't believe it. Let's give her a nice big round of applause. And bring her onto the screen. Morning, Astrid. How you doing?
I'm well, Carl. How are you?
Well, I was up late last night writing me a piece for the Portugal Resident. Are you familiar with the Portuguese poet Florbela Espanca? Not many people are.
No.
She is quite the gal, an amazing life story when you delve into it. But she deserves to be among any greats that are listed for people who like a bit of Portuguese poetry. So how was you're doing well? How is the weather in Cascais? You can give us a Cascais weather report, can't you?
It's beautiful. It's like summer again. It's 27 degrees today, Celsius. I'm not too sure what that is in Fahrenheit, but the weekend's getting up to 32. So very, very lucky to have this nice warm burst before autumn sinks in.
I think that's 87 in the Fahrenheit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So beautiful, perfect weather.
Yeah. No, hold on a minute. Did you say 27, 54, 84? 84 this morning. And isn't it lovely? I thought autumn was well and truly here. I mean, it does feel a bit autumnal, but we're still getting these beautiful days, aren't we?
Yeah, but the nights are very cool here. So you sort of get to your car in the morning and it's covered with dew and so that's definitely dropping at night. But the days are beautiful. So no complaints. People are still at the beach. You drive along the Marginal here and and the beaches are packed. I don't know, maybe all these people are working from home, I don't know, but they're working from the beach more like it, but there are still people getting outside and making the most of this beautiful weather.
Yeah, I was swimming in the water actually just a couple of days ago. It's still warm enough for a dip. Do you like to swim at Cascais? Which is your favourite beach around there?
Look, just our local beach close to where I live. I go down there, but I'm not a big swimmer, Carl. I love being near the water, but not a big swimmer. I've got really fair skin, so I need to be careful in the sun. So I tend to find myself a bit of shade and just stay under that. But I like being close to the water, but actually being in the water is not one of my favorite things.
I too was like that until I came here actually, and now love to be in the water. But yes, your sun warning duly noted there. I'm pretty fair myself. I have to go late in the day actually, rather than lie on the beach all day. That would be disastrous. So what's going on over at Expats Portugal? What have we got tomorrow night? The big night of the week at Expats Portugal.
Yeah, so tomorrow night we've got a webinar about transferring money to when you're doing foreign exchange. So tips and tricks and things to be mindful of and how to get the best deal. So it is with our very good friend Sarah from Spartan FX, who is a wealth of information when it comes to money exchange. So whether or not you use Spartan or another company, definitely come on board because you'll learn a few things. And then we've got the Dream Team session after that, which is always fun, with our panel of experts with all about migrating to Portugal. So if you're a premium member or a plus member, you can come and join that, or you can view it on YouTube.
Superb. I'm just having a look at the site now. Looking very nice. You went through quite an overhaul, didn't you, over at the site there? Always a bit of a nail biter, isn't it, when you're transferring from one design?
It is. And look, it's a much more modern, clean look. It doesn't necessarily look like the typical forum when you first get in there, but it's got all the same functionality. You just need to get in there, navigate around a little bit, and you'll find everything. But what I do like, Carl, is if you go up into the activity feed up in your menu.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Clicking on that now. Oh, I say. Yeah.
So this is a really nice page, and it shows everything all in one place. So you've got people that have posted into the interest groups and people that have responded to the forum posts and everything like that. So if you didn't want to trawl through the actual forum and all the different pages, you can come here. I don't think you're logged in, but if you're logged in with your account, then you can reply, you can join the discussion, you can like, you can do all these different functionalities from this page too. So it's pulling everything together into one section. So this is my favorite page. It's where I go all the time. And it's great to be able to join things quickly and see everything in one glance.
Yeah, because clearly, I'm not signed in at this point, sharing this on the screen, but you can get a lot of information without being signed up and signed in.
Sure.
But if you want to reply to some of these things or go a bit deeper, you can become a member free of charge at Expats Portugal. And of course, there is the premium membership. Now, I was having a look at a testimonial. My wife and I have been interested in moving to Portugal for over a year now. This is a 5-star review, and had questions about different locations, weather, culture, costs, and logistics of moving. Finding Expats Portugal has helped us remove so much of the uncertainty we had when starting our research. We had a meeting with Jerry, who was so kind and patient as we asked a barrage of questions. He was extremely helpful and knowledgeable. I can't recommend this site enough. Thank you. I think you're getting quite a few of those, aren't you?
Oh, Jerry's just been a star with these consultations. He seems to just be the most patient person with everyone's questions and so knowledgeable. And, he loves doing them as well. The whole aspect of being able to help people with their move and making them feel a little bit more comfortable about such a big decision. I always relate, and Carl, I might have had this conversation with you before. And as a mother, I remembered when I first fell pregnant with my first child, just being so hungry for information because what's going to happen ahead of you was so brand new. And you had no idea what to expect. And I assume that moving to a new country is very much the same. You're so information hungry, and anything that you can get is just like absorbed. and any little bit of information is just key. So that's a great way to look at the Expats Portugal.
It is
full of information.
the pregnancy analogy, hungry for information and a craving for pastel de natas.
Well,
Yeah.
everything is brand new, so you won't know. What's it like living in a foreign country? Do I have to speak the language fluently? Do I have to do this? How do I get there? What to expect? All these things. It's very, very similar to. I compared it to being pregnant for the first time and not having a clue what to expect. So
I think that works. Not that I would know from personal experience.
Oh, but Carl, I'm sure when you had your first child, not you yourself, but when you fathered your first child, that you were pretty much hungry for information about how your life.
Yes,
and,
definitely.
We're a bundle of information for people. And as you said before, you can get everything for free, but you can also sign up as a paid member if you want some additional perks.
Oh, yes. What do you get? What are the perks? What are some of the? I mean, we don't have long enough, I don't think, to go into all of the benefits of becoming a premium member. I mean, one of them for sure is that we're getting so many questions on the Dream Team sessions. We do prioritize people who are joining us on a Zoom call. It goes out on YouTube as well, but we prioritize people on the Zoom call who are members. What other benefits are there, actually, of being a premium member, expats?
The 1 hour, which is usually more than 1 hour because we don't watch our clocks at all, but the consultation, the one-to-one consultation, is proven to be hugely successful for us, and it's probably why we're getting a lot of these 5-star reviews, is because people are just getting a wealth of information. So that's probably the key thing. That time's invaluable, and really to be able to speak to someone on the ground who's already here is priceless. Well, it's not priceless, but it is great to help you feel reassured that the decision that you're making is the right choice, or just to speak to someone, have a friend on the ground, and it's ongoing support as well. So as a paid member, you can email us or any of our team any time with questions, and we'll be there for you. And also the guaranteed entry to all of our online webinars and Dream Team sessions and stuff like that, so that you can join us and ask the experts some questions too.
Superb. Have a fabulous day in Cascais. And anything nice, anything special planned today? Or enjoy that sunshine?
Yes, at 10 o'clock I start my Portuguese lesson, so I'm committed to that, doing my A2
very good.
Excellent.
Yeah. Excellent. So, all right. See you tomorrow evening.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Check out. Bye for now. Cheers, Astrid. There she goes. Fantastic. And if you want to sign up and join us tomorrow evening, we're talking to Sarah actually tomorrow evening, and then the Dream Team session thereafter. I do have a sign-up link for you. Jackie on holiday this week, having a lovely time, I suspect, on a road trip around Portugal. If you want to sign up, as indicated earlier, there is the link to do so through our affiliated link through to Expats Portugal. The doc is getting ready. Do you remember we used to see him parked in a lay-by talking to us from his car? I think he's safely at home at the moment. This is a fantastic comment, and we're going to stay in the Algarve with a quick clip from a quick clip. That's something Yorkshire parents used to threaten their children with. I mean this in a good way. A quick clip of the conversation we had last night with Ibrahim Zahidi. The construction crane, talking of the Algarve, is now the official bird of the area. That's brilliant. Very good. The construction crane is now the official bird of the Algarve. Okay, let's leave that on as we share with you a little bit of a chat here. Just a couple of minutes of talking to Ibrahim last night. Us foreigners, immigrants here in Portugal, tend to stay within our silos and communities. So, Ibrahim, thank you so much for being here to represent Iran. Be here, of course, in your own right, but also tell us a little bit about what it's like to be Iranian here in Portugal. Thank you for being with us.
Well, thank you, and I really take the opportunity. Well, when you send a message that you're trying to get the network, of different nationalities, it was very nice to me that why not to join this network? Well, I can learn a lot. So I may teach a little, but I can learn a lot, from different people. That's amazing. Well, being an Iranian here, just to let you know that the number of the Iranians in Portugal, we don't have that many kind of Iranians. Okay, that they may be in the United States. Well, United States, there are many Iranians, but we don't have that much here in Portugal. Well, we have more in Germany or France or Italy or Sweden, but not again in Portugal.
Okay.
Portugal actually has popped up very well during the past, I can say, let's say just before pandemic starts, okay, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And then let's say everything slowed down. And then again, let's say it is getting more popular to Iranian. And it is getting more popular to Iranian because, well, Iranians would like to go basically to Canada and Australia, but because of the new rules and regulation, the expenses, okay, which has gone high there, so they prefer a second choice. So their second choice right now is Portugal, and that's quite amazing. It is nice. Well, the Iranian people who are here, they're really educated people, and well, they come here on their wealth. Okay, so this is the let's say the kind of the Iranian people who are here. But as an Iranian in Portugal, I really love Portugal. I feel I am at home, you know. They have the same kind of hospitality that we have. Okay, so
interesting.
we used to be that much hospitable, okay, in Iran. And we love the strangers, okay, as Portuguese people love the strangers as well. So first of all, the number one thing which attracted me and my family to
Oh, sorry, I was just having a cup of tea. Then I edited that as a cliffhanger, the number one thing, so that you watch the full length version of that interview. And my tea's gone cold as well. That didn't work especially well. But thank you so much, Ibrahim Zahidi, for joining us last night. What a legend he is. I'm sure you'll be hearing more about him. He has started a couple of businesses. His daughter's started a business. She teaches. She's amazing. She's doing medicine at university here in Portugal, having moved here 8 years ago. And she also teaches Portuguese. Quite an incredible family. Yes, we can get ready for the doc joining us in just a moment. And of course, Fernando Martinho joining us a little bit later on at around 9:30. Stepping in this morning for Bobby O'Reilly. And we'll find out from Fernando what he does in the team over at UrHome and Dynasty Homes as well. Bob's here. I love Astrid's pregnancy birthing analogy. We spent yesterday with a couple definitely searching out any information they can find to birth a Portugal life. Fantastic. Sarah's in, and I will share with you a little slideshow that I'll put together in the next few days about their trip. It's taken me by surprise. Well, Sarah, when you said you were doing the EN2 Route 66 trip, I thought they're going to be away for weeks. It was like done and dusted within a few days, it felt like. Yes, they have already finished the EN2 bike trip. Antonio, good morning to you. Yep, got to Faro on Monday, got home yesterday afternoon. Isn't that amazing? Thank you, Antonio, for this. News, the fourth festival of the Francesinhas of Irish will be taking place between September the 29th and October the 8th at the Jardim Municipal de Irish. Free access to Francesinhas there. Free access into the actual event space. I suspect you'll have to buy your Francesinha. What happens there, Antonio? Are there purveyors of the said speciality of different parts of Portugal? What does that look like? What does the Francesinha festival look like at Irish there? And next Saturday, you say also, thank you for these, really appreciate these. September the 30th, there's the Irish Air Show at Praia de Santo Amaro from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Free access, more than 35 aircraft and 100 drones. Well, that's a new thing, isn't it? An air show now. A lot of drones there, drone racing. Excellent stuff. And thank you very much, Antonio F. Who haven't we said good morning to? Mr. S is here as well this morning. Oh, Portuglish with an everyone. And that greeting from Jean earlier on, Bon dia a todos. And a Bon dia a todos out on a gust walk, but have reception, says Bob. And a good morning. Everyone from Andy and from Chris Smith. Bon dia a todos. See y'all at the meetup this afternoon. Looking forward to that, Chris. I shall see you then. Let's give him a nice big round of applause and bring him onto the screen. The Doc Thompson. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, thanks. Bon dia a todos.
Morning.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good, mate. I was up late. I've been complaining already to everyone who I've had a chance to speak to this morning about staying up until about 2 this morning.
Whoa.
I asked Astrid this. I was writing about, well, in part, Florbella Espanca. Do you know her?
No.
I think you'd like her, Doc. I think you'd like her and her poetry. You'll be familiar, of course, with Pessoa and Camões, a Portuguese poet. She's the female poet. And likened, I think, from time to time, comparisons are odious, of course, but likened from time to time to Sylvia Plath and Virginia Woolf, which gives you a sense of how she rolled, so to speak, in life.
Sure.
Yeah. So what's going on, Doc? What's happening in your part of the world? How's Leiria this morning?
Leiria is beautiful, sunny, chilled. Building up to the Leiria Sobreros, the Leiria motor show, which takes place around the arena and along the park. We'll have vintage motorbikes, vintage cars. We'll have drift racing. We'll have all sorts, brand new electric vehicles, loads of stuff. Great fun.
Excellent stuff. So you'll be popping along to that. Talking of vehicles, then we have a picture of the road trip vehicle that the coach will be using. The coach won't be using a coach. The coach will be using this. We suspect he's going to have a look at this, about which he says, "Road trip prospect must remain sensible." Spoiler alert: no chance.
No.
That looks like fun, doesn't it, to go on a road trip through Europe upon or within?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm no stranger to road trips around Europe. I suspect I wouldn't want to try and sleep in that. It's not very comfortable, even in the BM 520D estate. But in that, it would probably rather cramped, but it'd be a lot quicker. That's for sure.
It's be like the old proverbial off a shovel, won't it? It's not for sleeping in. I mean, in many ways, it's designed to get you sleeping partners. I don't know. Maybe that was, for some people, that's maybe why they buy a car of such beauty and performance. Other forms of transport available for coming across on the Channel Tunnel. I'll never forget or never get over the disappointment I felt when I found out Eurotunnel was this.
Yeah.
And not this. Why didn't they make it like the picture on the right, Doc?
Well, I think it was probably a lot safer embedded in rock than subject to the tides and the sea monsters and whatever else is lurking at the bottom of the channel.
And I've got a feeling the channel, La Manche, as the French call it, doesn't look like that probably at the best of times, does it? It's pretty
No.
And you'll be seeing the bottoms of liners and so on, and cargo ships going across there. Amazing. Okay, so the Doc is here, ex-GP, of course, and known from time to time for his political analysis, occasionally on the Good Morning Portugal show. Have you got anything to say on that by way of an intro or foreplay on the political side?
Not much here in Portugal, except for the fact that Bloco Esquerda got a seat back in the local parliament in the Azores last week, and not much on the mainland. I did see with interest the election of a hitherto political unknown businessman as the new leader of Syriza, the sort of Bloco equivalent in Greece last week. So that'll be interesting. You'll recall, of course, that Syriza was the party which almost took Greece out of Europe on the back of the economic constraints put on Greece by the European Central Bank and probably Germany. Something similar to what the Portuguese experienced at the same sort of time, although arguably perhaps not quite as severe in the case of Portugal.
What do you make of that? Because it's possible, isn't it, for a left-leaning person to be a little bit torn on the Brexit idea. On the one hand, not wanting to be associated with the right-leaning folks who just want to have a different way of looking at it and seeking a separate state from all this federal business. But then, of course, the likes of Jeremy Corbyn, who was a Brexiteer, really, because he saw the EU EC for what it, in a way, some people do. Let me put it like that, as a club that serves the elites rather than the working people. Where do you position yourself in that, Andy?
Well, of course, there is the Marxist dialectic to everything. So there are also always the two sides to look at and look at very seriously, because, of course, it's absolutely true that Europe has the European systems as they're currently set up are no friend to working people for the most part, and are great friends of banks and businesses. But at the same time, freedom of movement and shorter working week and the rights to various labor, various working rights, even though many of those existed within national frameworks without the intervention of Europe, generally they have been enhanced by us being in Europe. So there, you have to look at both sides, and you have to look at whether at any particular time the benefit to the ordinary person of being in the club is outweighed by being outside the club, and that's the problem.
Not this blimmin' thing again of the least worst and better the devil you've got.
Well, it is until we end up actually really having revolutions that overthrow the current order of things. Taking Britain out of Europe was just a sideshow. It effectively postponed the decision as to whether or not the current system can be made to work for ordinary people, because at the moment, although it's fading fairly rapidly, there's still an expectation that coming out of Europe is going to somehow help the ordinary person. When that fades, the next sideshow, I suspect, would be proportional representation. Every time the current system seems to be threatened by popular uprising, the system creates a new bogeyman to shoot down to try and put off the pressure for real change.
Well said. I mean, whatever our respective political views there, Doc, I can see that that's going on. the old bogeyman technique. Look over there.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
And all it does is serve to divide ordinary people. You know, the Europe debate, apart from dividing Britain internally, divided Europe, divided the ordinary people of Europe.
Yes.
The businessmen and the bankers quite happy to sit down and entertain each other with the 1,000 euro bottles of wine to welcome King Charles to Paris. Shame they didn't cut his head off. While they'll set the ordinary British and ordinary European person at each other's throats.
All right, Doc, this is one of those moments when I have to invite you to explain that your comments are meant metaphorically.
Totally.
Actually, right, okay. But I did also think to myself, we saw the King of England, didn't we? And the Queen, Camilla, in Paris being entertained by the French. And I was thinking, it's like safe to do so now, isn't it? Wouldn't have done that a few centuries ago, would you?
Well, precisely. I mean, you know, they could have tried that 200 years ago. They would have had their heads cut off.
let us not be jealous of people drinking €1,000 bottles of wine. I say €1,000 bottles of wine for all. That would be a great world to live in, wouldn't it?
Well, they wouldn't cost €1,000 if they could produce them in that quantity.
Exactly. Yeah, that's an interesting point, isn't it? Is that once you make luxury available to everyone, it's not luxury anymore, is it? Okay.
No,
Oh,
exactly.
We're so complicated as human beings, aren't we? Right. You are an ex-GP, of course, in the UK. We have I don't know. I was going to call it the COVID season. Is upon us. A couple of things I want to share with you, and I have asked you from time to time about this, but from your sort of ex-medical point of view, you might have something to say on a couple of things that I've pulled from the Portugal resident and seek your counsel and reassurance. The first of which is apparently 10 people die from COVID per day in Portugal. Still, Portugal has an average of 10 deaths from COVID every day, and between 200 and 300 new cases, figures that represent a huge underestimation, says one person here, an epidemiologist, Manuel Carmo Gomes, because most of those infected no longer report the situation. That's to do with the asymptomatic nature, probably, though, isn't it, of the condition. A few days before the start of the seasonal vaccination campaign against COVID-19 and flu, which begins in a couple of days' time, folks. You may be getting messages to call you in for this. Gomes analysed the epidemiological situation in Portugal of the SARS-CoV-2 coronavirus, which causes COVID-19. During the summer, the number of notifications of positive cases of COVID-19 remained fairly stable at between 200 and 300 new cases per day. These are the cases we know about, and they represent a major underestimation of reality because most people now self-test and don't report, said the professor at the Faculty of Sciences of the University of Lisbon. And that was in a report to Lusa. If I go on, I can tell you more about the campaign that's beginning, I believe, as well. Let me bring on another before we get the doc's view on this. Yeah, so flu and COVID vaccination campaign begins in 2 days' time. Let me bring that onto the screen as well. And that'll be Michael Brujo, who's telling us this. A health executive predicts forceful campaign with enormous adhesion. That's such a great, that does sound like a translation from Portuguese, doesn't it? When you hear phrases like enormous adhesion. Talking at yesterday's WHO symposium in Porto, Fernando Araujo, executive director of the SNF Health Service, said the scenario we have on the table is starting on September the 29th with force and an enormous adhesion by the Portuguese people, who are notably do queue up and roll up their sleeves, don't they? The novelty with this year's campaign is that vaccinations will also be offered by 3,000 community pharmacies, offering wider timetables for people whose work schedules, for example, do not fit with the times offered for health centres. And this is this is Natasha Don, not Michael Bruja. Nothing, she says, has been explained as to whether, in the case of the COVID vaccines, these are now able to curb transmission and or stop people actually contracting the virus. But it is clear that both shots will be recommended for people over the age of 60, as well as to other priority groups. Further orientation to follow from the resident. What's your commentary on that, Doc?
Well, I'm generally pro-vaccine. With I'll make them the usual caveats. Obviously, there are ill effects from vaccines, just as there are ill effects from every modality of medical treatment. And a vaccine could kill you just as much as traveling in a motor car could kill you. But generally, they are fairly safe and very effective. And in the same way as if you want to get from A to B relatively quickly, you'll take a motor car. If you want to reduce your risk of dying from a preventable infection, for which there exists a reasonably useful vaccine, then you'll take the vaccine. There is, in my mind, from everything I have seen, no doubt that the COVID vaccines did reduce transmission, and therefore did reduce mortality, and that there were some related deaths and ill effects, but they are far outweighed by the benefits that accrue to the widespread rollout of that vaccine. I think it was done in potentially a risky way, in that it was developed very quickly, and it was impossible to be able to say what the long-term or even short-term side effects of those vaccines were in the early days. But that was the nature of the pandemic that faced us across the globe, and I think it was a difficult choice, and I think the right choice was made.
Mm-hmm. And there is still, that said, a spectrum, isn't there, of opinion on it, ranging from where we might place Portugal, generally speaking, in its culture, at the, just give us what you've got, Doc. We'll take it. That seems to be the tone, doesn't it, of how Portuguese culture and society responds to this. Tell us what to do and we'll do it. And then, of course, there is and I've asked you about this before, haven't we? There are. It seems to be not just a conspiracy theory, but unexplained deaths, or unaccounted for. I don't know what the correct phrase is that stops unnecessary and excitable discussion around this, but that seems to be going on as well, without much discussion and not much backtracking from the it'll absolutely stop transmission. The earlier promises have had to be either ignored or well, they haven't been. They don't seem to have been talked about for me. But I guess with your analysis, you're saying overall, and you are working on averages here. You're in that position of saying overall it was a good idea, and yet some folks are still. I mean, for example, namesake Thompson, forgotten his first name now. I can't believe that. After all the correspondence we have, but there are people at the other end of the spectrum here, the other end compared to just give us what you've got, Doc, who are seeing this as a major crime inflicted upon humanity with the way it was done. I apparently am being called to a Nuremberg because I haven't said enough against what's gone on with this. I am being called to some sort of Nuremberg hearing for being somebody in the public eye who's not said enough about the dangers and the harmful effects of how governments responded and the vaccines themselves. Have you got a comment on that? A lot of this, in the way that it was all we were talking about for a little while. There isn't much talk about it now, is there? And we do have unexplained deaths, and the same level of concern and conversation that we had when we went into the pandemic is almost invisible now, it would seem to me.
Yeah, and there are a number of reasons for that. COVID is no longer in the headlines until someone who wants a story manages to find out that, of course, COVID is being underreported. Of course, it's being underreported. People don't want.
All diseases are underreported.
All diseases are underreported, especially when you might then be condemning yourself to a week at home with no income because all the support for income while you're off with COVID has disappeared. And we're facing a cost of living crisis, which is far more important to people on a day-to-day basis because it affects everyone.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of other political imperatives that are exercising our energies at the moment. The other reason is that in as much as there are studies going on to look at any adverse effects of the vaccinations, be that medium or long term, they will take some time to report. We are away from the urgency, and so that work will be carrying on. And when you say I talk about averages, you're absolutely right, and I make no apology for talking about averages, because when we're talking about public health, you can do nothing more than talk statistically.
Yeah, yeah.
But what you have to remember, what I would have had to remember as an individual practitioner when I talk to averages, was to explain to my patient that I was talking about averages. And just because what I'm prescribing you on average is beneficial, that does not mean that for you individually, you might be outside the average one way or the other. It might be extremely beneficial and might make you able to fly and play the piano like Beethoven, or it might kill you. Both of which
advert on holiday in America.
both of which would be relatively unlikely on average. But that's the issue. When you're talking about public health, you have to talk about averages. But every individual is likely to suffer. In fact, it is more likely than not that any one individual will suffer a non-average or experience a non-average effect.
Yep, got it. No, I've always respected that, and we've made that a clear distinction, haven't we? When you've talked about this, you have talked about it from a public health point of view, and not said what any individual should do, because I suspect you're for a choice of the individual. So thank you for that. Any comments you wish to make, or any questions you have from a medical point of view? We're not exactly, I say we, Doc is not offering diagnosis or telling you what to do medically, but he does have years of experience as a GP in the UK. If you want to be signposted, I think it's safe to signpost people, isn't it? Rather than for me to ask them to bend over and be examined. For example, my sister and niece have something just now, and I don't think it's a €1,000 bottle of wine. You might be talking about COVID symptoms. A question from Portuguese, Andrew. Is it C23 this year, or is it just good old-fashioned COVID-19, Doc? Why are we still using that name?
Well, we are getting new variations all the time. And of course, we've seen one recently in the UK. But for the sake of recognizability and
branding
and internet, branding doesn't just work commercially. Branding works in terms of
everything.
In terms of focus and social recognition. It doesn't work for Russell Brand at the moment, but anyway. COVID-19 is a recognized international term. If different countries start adding different numbers because they happen to have had a local alternative this year, then we'll get very confused internationally, more so than we already are.
I was going to say that. We don't need any more chaos right now, do we? Bon dia from Val Moreno House this morning. Thank you for being here too. And yeah, a little bit of chat about the Route 66 trip that the Yermans were on. You've done bits of that. I think we've talked about it, haven't we? Portugal's fabulous.
Well, we've talked about it. I haven't done it. I really want to be able to get on an adapted custom trike that I can ride with my left, with my left hand and left foot, and do Route 66. Not that there's a lot left in places of the original Route 66, but I would still like to do it.
Okay. Sarah said, they've completed now. It was mostly bicycle touring paradise. So there you go. We had a blast. Not quite as much riding as planned because both son Matt and I were pretty flattened from work. By the last day, we were rested. We still rode, however, on the Route 66. Fernando, when he joins us in about 5 minutes, might have something to say this. I think he's a bit of an athlete, so he might have cycled part of the Route 66 EN2 in Portugal. We still rode about 400 kilometers and climbed well over 4 kilometers. It was joyous. Portugal should make a bigger deal out of the bicycle touring resources here. It's amazing. Well, we'll second that, won't we, Doc?
Absolutely.
And from your point of view, paths that are suitable for adapted vehicles, that would be amazing. I mean, there's a little bit of that going on, isn't there? Some of the old railway lines and so on, where there's pedestrians and cyclists and where wheelchairs are welcome. So yes, celebrate that, Portugal.
And along the coastal strip here in Portugal, there are a lot of red cycleways that will work well for my electric wheelchair as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Go on, Doc. Let loose. I think that was when you were getting into the Marxist dialectic. As you
Haven't
call
got
it.
started yet.
He hasn't even got started, everybody, and he's only got a few minutes to go. If you want to just poke him a little bit with that, inbred privileged oxygen thieves. My goodness. That's quite the sort of Portuguese political put down. I think Andy's been in long enough to feel able to just say whatever he feels like, which is what I notice among Portuguese friends and people, is that they're quite savage, aren't they, in their descriptions of politicians. Back in the day, yeah, €1,000 bottle of wine, which must have been, yeah, George is a bit posh, the Badger. €1,000 bottle of wine must be from Fortnum and Mason. You can buy a lot of good wine in Portugal for €1,000. Have you come across any favourites recently? It is, of course, our Good Morning Portugal Wine Club, where on Monday, Doctor, we are mixing ginger and aguardente. Is that a good idea from your medical perspective?
Absolutely, as long as you're not working the following day.
Okay, and quite good for cleaning wounds as well with the aguardente, right? Okay. Have you come across anything recently that you'd like to share with us, wine wise?
No, I've been fairly abstinent actually.
Okay.
Not through choice. It's just been one of those things. We've not been, just not been as. I mean, we've had a couple of bottles, but nothing special.
Okay, all right, and yeah, just carrying on from this vaccination campaign, which is going to crank up in a couple of days' time from the 29th. What other seasonal advice do you have? Remembering from back in the day when you'd have probably a whole waiting room of people coughing and sneezing at this time of year, seeking your counsel and advice. What did you say to people going into the winter? Put a coat on.
Keep warm. Keep warm. Look out for each other. Those are the two main things.
Look out for each other. That's interesting advice. What do you mean?
Sorry?
Not many doctors would say look after each other as a medical advice. What did you mean by that?
Well, they probably wouldn't, but actually, as a socialist with a small s now, someone who believes in the importance of society looking after each other, it's very important. And if you look out for other people are likely to start looking out for you. You never know when you will need that. As many of you know, before I had my stroke, I was very active. And the next, within a month or two, I was living alone and absolutely dependent on the love and care of my neighbours and friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So medication's one thing, isn't it? But communication, community, also very important things with holistic health that we've forgotten a little bit about, but we're reminded when we come to Portugal that people do still look after each other.
Portugal does it a lot better than other places.
Absolutely. Just getting ready for Fernando Martinho to join us. EN2 is 739 kilometers long. It crosses 4 mountain chains, 11 rivers, and 29 municipalities. And I would agree, Antonio. It isn't celebrated as much as it might be, according to Sarah. I think that's absolutely right. What's this? Antonio, you're having a conversation, I think, with Mr. S, whose an analysis of Aveiro was, I think, about the architecture. I've lost that comment now, but you were talking about Aveiro is beautiful. But the construction blocks the view to the buildings. That's a strange irony, isn't it? And Antonio, you're talking with Mr. S about the language. There was a Portuguese language deal in the 90s to make it more similar among all Portuguese-speaking countries, the Lusophonic countries. So some words changed. Ótimo, ação, ativo, etc. That's interesting. Mr. S, quite the Portuguese language scholar, but some mess was created, like espectador. There was a spectador, a viewer, and espectador, someone that sticks something. And now the espectador for both meanings. Okay, that is a bit messy and can get you into trouble in mixed company. Let's give him a nice big round of applause and welcome him for the first time to the Good Morning Portugal screen. It's Fernando Martinho, everybody. Good morning to you, Fernando.
Good morning, Carl.
Good morning, Fernando.
We've got a very crowded screen here. Let's just take a few things off here and make it a little bit easier to see you. How are you this morning? You feeling good?
All good, mate. And yourself?
Yeah, pretty good. Chatting with the doc here. and he's given us a little bit of insight from his medical background, practicing as a GP back in the UK some time ago. You, of course, and a fine collection of silverware behind you. You are in part of the UrHome Portugal team, a colleague of Bobby's, of course. What do you do over there at UrHome?
I'm the sales manager of UHP.
Wow. And what does that involve on a day-to-day basis?
My job is to grow up the team, lead up the team to get more sales, to get more clients, more listings, more leads, get product, and get the skills moving on.
Brilliant. And what is you're gonna see what I did here. What is the USP of UHP, UrHome Portugal? How would you say you differentiate yourselves as a company compared to the let's face it, the many other real estate companies here in Portugal, and a growing number, of course?
Yeah, there's a lot real estate companies. On the last years, many companies appear on the market. It's like I said, it's like shops that sold gold a couple of years ago. That everyone was selling gold. Nowadays, everyone is working in real estate. But it is. But I think that we are a different company. We are specialized in real estate markets, in two markets, like the prime locations in Lisbon and also on the South Banks, on the peninsula of Setúbal.
Okay. Right.
So we deal a lot with investors, and we have lots of investments always going on, different kind of opportunities for the investors. I can say that we are a consultant company, not as a normal real estate that wants to sell the house and then forget about the client. We are more or less about consulting the client, getting to make the best deal that he can, organizing all the documents, check out the markets, do all the due diligence regarding documents of the house, everything from A to Z. I think that's what makes us a little bit different than the other ones.
Very excellent. Okay, Doc, I think you're gonna go off into Leiria and gird your loins for the upcoming festa over there. Thank you for being with us this morning, my friend.
Ciao, ciao.
Yeah, and bye for now. There goes the Doc with his bit of Marxist dialectic as ever this morning, and we'll put the furniture around us on the screen again here, Fernando, as we have a little chat and find out more about you. So yeah, a distinction there between, or a USP for UHP. You're not just in the business of finding and selling homes to people. It's a bigger package than that. So as buying a home is one thing, and I know you can help people with that with some very beautiful homes, but it might be investment into real estate projects as well. That's what you're doing for people, as I understand it.
Yes. The idea when UHP starts, we start as a normal real estate company, but during the years that we are already on the market, we are roughly 10 years already in Portugal. During that period, we have many clients that starting to work with us, being as a client that wants to move to Portugal to live, because our market is mainly the international market. We are now embarked to another adventure, going to the Middle East, Far East, Africa, and both North and South America. Because we travel a lot, and we think that Portugal is a nice place to live. That's why we are always trying to find new investors all around the world. But our idea, firstly, in the meantime, was selling the house to the end client. And what's appeared in our mind and in Bobby's mind was this kind of clients can be also a partner for us. So our idea now is get the clients to invest in Portugal, fall in love with Portugal, and make money in Portugal.
Yeah, amazing. So yeah, that's quite the itinerary there. You obviously like a bit of global travel. What are some of your favorite countries that you go to?
Personally, I think for me, Egypt is the best country to travel. Okay?
Right.
Okay. To make money, I will say Dubai.
Right.
Of course. To make money, I'll say Dubai. That's one of our biggest clients are always from there. We have many clients from Dubai, Qatar, Bahrain, all that kind of the Middle East is our main goal always. But for me personally, I'll say Egypt as a traveler.
Okay. Wonderful. And tell us then, how do you sell Portugal? when you get to these places? How do these conversations begin? I mean, a lot of people would think you have a very enviable lifestyle, and I'm sure you do, going to all these wonderful places. And for some of the time, you're not going to be out and about floating in the Dead Sea or looking at the pyramids. You're actually going to be in a conference center or a hotel somewhere, a conference room, talking to people about Portugal. How does the conversation begin, and what do you tell them about Portugal?
First of all, it's not easy to travel. In the first years when I start traveling with Bobby, and Bobby always said to me, "You're going to. This is very good for the first couple of months, but then you're going to be bored because our life, more or less, is always inside an airport or inside an airplane."
It's rock and roll, really, isn't it? It's like
It's,
the
it's
lifestyle
like,
of a musician. Yeah.
yeah, it's more or less the same. And then the rest is inside the hotels and conference room. Yeah, I think it's very easy to sell. I think that we don't need to sell Portugal. Portugal sells by himself.
Yeah.
What we can tell about Portugal to everyone: it's one of the third most security countries in the world. Again, voted as one of the most security countries in the world. For the New York Times, Portugal has the best savage beach in the world. It's the Rabbits Beach. It's over here in the Rábida, on the South Bay. It was voted this year as one of the best beaches in the world. I think that is very easy to sell Portugal. You sell the sun, you sell the lifestyle. I think it's easy.
Are you surprised by anything you're learning from those people who buy Portugal, if you like, as a concept? Has anything surprised you about what their requirements are, or how they might have changed over the last few years?
For us, it's very very straightforward that we are a security country. We don't think about it. I think that's we Portuguese. We born here. For us, living in Portugal, it's normal. And for people that coming abroad and they see the safety of the country, and they sometimes I get clients looking at the sun, breathing, clients from Beijing. Sometimes they arrive to Portugal and they start breathing, and I ask them, "What are you doing?" They say, "We are breathing because in Beijing we cannot breathe because of the pollution."
Amazing.
And for me, it's very difficult to understand that, because for me it's natural to breathe.
Yes. Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. And these are the things we take for granted, aren't they? That other people coming to Portugal are like just blown away
that's
by.
what surprised me sometimes, is looking what for us is granted, for many other countries is not as granted as they also wish it was.
Yeah.
So we in real estate, we work with clients from all around the world. So I tell you that we saw lots of things already.
Yeah, and then hear a lot of perspectives. Now, I was having a conversation with somebody last night about this in a funny sort of way, that's connected to the conversation we're having now. And it was about safety here in Portugal, and that we can take for granted as foreigners. But it's very dear to the people of Portugal to feel safe in the country in relation to crime. And what this person was telling me was that an amount of corruption is almost a given. A corruption among politicians, a big big business folks, seems to be, and it's not liked or encouraged, but it's almost accepted as part of the culture. However, when it comes to crime and big crime, that's what upsets the people of Portugal and the population. That's what can bring a government down. That's what starts to unsettle and make Portuguese people unhappy. If this sense of safety that we're talking about is being taken for granted, is suddenly in the papers, crime figures are up. Would you agree with that analysis, that that's really what upsets Portuguese people, when they get a sense that crime is growing and the country is no longer safe, and then they demand a change of government?
I think so. I think that's regarding the talking about politicians. I'll pass that to Bobby, because I'm not I'm not a political guy.
We'll leave that to the Doc and Bobby. Yeah, definitely.
I'm a sales guy. I understand a lot about real estate. I don't understand nothing about politics.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
But picking up your words, I think it's correct. Yeah, I think that for us, having someone on the government taking gloves for us is granted. We are used to it from
Right.
ages.
Yeah.
And for us, safety, it's not about the politics part. It's about our kids. And
Yes.
we as how can I say? We as Portuguese, for us, family is very important.
Mm.
I think it's one of the most important things. We in Portugal we have 3 Fs, as you said one time. It's Fado, Fatima, and football,
Yes.
and then you can put the 4th F, that is family.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And this is the part.
Well, I noticed that from your LinkedIn profile, and I was finding out a bit, doing my research, finding out a bit more about you. Some people, like an American executive on LinkedIn, might have a picture of their latest trophy that they've won as a top salesman, for example. You've got your kids there on your LinkedIn profile. That's how important it is to you, and a really good reflection
always.
of what you're saying. Yeah. And lifestyle. Okay, so we can extend, can't we, from the safety, family life into lifestyle? Because I understand you're a bit of an athlete, basically. You like to enjoy. Well, we've got breathing is good. You've mentioned that. Hola, bon dia. Yes, breathing is pretty good. Well said, Aviva and James. Yeah, breathing clean air has become a privilege, and we certainly have that in Portugal. You do. You like to go breathe the fresh air as an athlete and as a runner. Tell us about your hobbies, Fernando.
Yeah, I'm a little bit. You can call it as a lunatic.
Yes, I've heard this.
I'm not a professional, but then I'm amateur / professional trail runner.
Okay, what does that mean exactly? What do you do, and what sort of distances would you be covering?
Between 100 miles and 111 miles, like in kilometers, about between 160 to 190 kilometers.
In one go?
In one go, yeah.
Why, Fernando? Why?
I think it's for me, it's more about being with myself. It's 30 hours without phone, without listening to anyone, and only breathing and listen to your heart and think about life. I think that's, for me, it's the most important thing when I do this kind of adventures, that we can call it, and I do 3-4 times a year. I'm going to do a Brantish in the 14th of October. It's going to be 100 kilometers, trying to do it in 14-15 hours.
That's amazing.
It's a lifestyle,
I've got to ask you a few of the logistics about this. I take my hat off to you, my trainers and everything. I think it's amazing, this idea, and I totally get it. There must come a point when you're doing it where you go into a sort of space beyond the physical. You're in a zone, I suppose people would call it.
Yeah, you're going to a pain cave.
Yeah, a pain cave. Tell us more.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that. What, you go beyond that, or you stay in that?
No, you have. I think that's when you do this kind of races. You have to detach your mind from your body.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's the most important thing. You cannot think with your body. You have to think with your mind, and then you have to go on the pain cave. And the pain cave is something like, it's where your body is trying to demolish you. It's trying to get you quit. And it's about your mindset to say, oh, no, I'm not done yet. That's the spirit.
And the body, do you get your body back on side then, effectively? And it says, okay, well, I see what's happening here. We're gonna go for this together.
I think that 1 week after, the mind and the body will connect again. No, but it will take a week.
This is amazing. Okay, so you call it trail running or extreme running, and is this a big thing in Portugal?
Nowadays, yes. For the last, I think that before the COVID, many people were on the gym. Like, Portuguese was addict to the gym.
Really?
For us, the gym was very important because we didn't. For us, like, being outside, as is granted, we don't live outside. We don't go to the mountains. We don't go trail running or even run on the road. And when the COVID appears and everything was completely locked down, all the gyms and everything. I live on the South Bank, so I live in Serra da Rábida. So for me, it was very like, okay, so I just opened the door and go to the mountains, and I didn't see anyone. So even my wife started running because all people say, you cannot go out because the police or this or that or this or those. But for us, it's very straightforward. Just open the door and go run, and it starts from there.
And you can run away from them if necessary into the woods.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, so okay, so it started from there, and it seems to be a growing popularity for this. There's 100K coming up in the branch soon. I've got
Yeah.
to ask you about some of the logistics of this. So, what do you? I mean, let's go if we may. I know people might be having their breakfast, but let's go into bodily functions. You're running for 100 kilometers, which you predict might take you 14 or 15 hours to
Yeah.
do. What are you doing for sustenance? I mean, presumably you've got a water bottle. That's a fairly easy thing to do. But do you eat anything when you're running?
Yeah, you have to eat. You have to eat carbohydrates, and also put some pills of salt, because you're going to lose some salt.
Right.
Water, regarding water, normally 500 centiliters per hour, like
Oh,
1
okay.
liter of water each 2 hours.
And are you eating sports bars, like munching on
Yes,
sports
yes,
bars?
and gels. But I always try to stop also to eat on the break points, because each 10 kilometers you have places to stop to fill up
Oh,
the
okay.
bottles and to eat.
Oh, okay. So it's like a sort of triathlon. There are stations. You're not
Yeah.
you're not doing the whole 100 kilometers in one go. Each 10K, you've got a chance to
Yeah,
eat
10,
something.
11, 12. It depends of the difficulty, if you have more slops or not.
Okay. And this is a chance to empty your body of its waste products. I'll put it that way as well,
Yeah.
is it? Okay, because I was wondering what happens whether you're just running it behind a tree when you're out on your 100K. But this is all very structured, and typically, I mean, the triathlon came to San Martinho de Porto, where I live, a couple of weekends ago, and the infrastructure they made for it was incredible. It was really Portuguese, and I think Portuguese people love to have an event, and they love to get everybody from the town involved in the event. The volunteers, the camera, everybody comes and gets involved. They kind of paved the beach. We've got a beach here, a beautiful beach, and they covered it with these boards, so that I think, where people were swapping over from bikes to swimming and so on, it could all be done beautifully. It came past the end of my street, and they were putting out, the police were there to help people. Is this what goes on with the trail running as well? It's very highly organized, and you get a lot of support along the way.
Yeah, I think it's also very important for all the municipalities to have this kind of sports, because it moves many people.
Yes.
It moves many people. So regarding like a normal trail running, because you have different kinds of distance. Sometimes it goes from the lower ones, that is going to be like 12 kilometers. Then it can go 18, 32, 50. And you have some races that have combined 5 or 6 different distances,
Yeah.
So if you run less, you go to 12K. If I run a little more, I go to 25K, and another one goes to 35K. And roughly it's going to be more or less 500 runners per race. And if we're talking about 5 races, talk 2,500 people running. Plus, I will take my kids, I'll take my wife. So sometimes in some municipalities over here, you can go between 5,000 to 7,000 people that only go there to the race, only for that weekend.
Amazing.
So it makes sense to give us all the communities that they can, because we bring a lot of money also to them.
Yeah, quite incredible. So this is something people can watch out for. And typically, I don't know if people will know how to find out about it. So if people want to get into this or go watch it, what's the best way to find out about it, Fernando?
They can go online, just write trail running in Portugal, and also it will give all the races. It can give races in Porto, in Algarve, in Lisbon, and everywhere in Portugal.
So
Also
trail
of
racing,
Madeira.
trail racing or trail running is the genre. This reference here is a famous marathon runner who relieved herself publicly, I think, because she couldn't wait any longer. And I'm imagining as well, Fernando, with you, when you do get to those stops, it's a bit like being at a music festival or Glastonbury. You have to pray and hope that the queue for the toilet isn't too long. When you get when you get to the station. Okay, two of my siblings are professional athletes who live and work in the Alps, and they absolutely love what they do, and the mountains. It's just making the country life sound more and more attractive, isn't it? Which I guess, and wow, that's 4 times the distance of a marathon. We know, James, isn't it incredible? Which brings us full circle then to yours and Bobby's beloved South Bank, south of the river. And what a treasure that is, and what a great place that is to come and buy a property, invest in a property development. Could you tell us more about that? And we were talking about wine earlier on. So food, wine, culture on the South Bank. What do you love about it so much? Why did you choose to live there yourself?
I fall in love for a girl that lives here. You
Great
know,
idea. Great
I'm
idea.
original. So what's the best? What's the best
Yes,
way to be here?
definitely.
You know. So I'm original from Lisbon, but I come here for, I think it was 5 years when the first came here to Sesimbra with my parents, and then my parents fall in love with the South Bank, and also I did. And when I finished high school, I had 20 years old. I moved to live to the South Bank, because for me it's very important to live the outside, and over here you can live the outside. Uh, the houses are way less expensive than in Lisbon.
Yeah.
Like you get more money for the bricks, you know. Capital appreciation is going to be the same, and it's also about with the kids, you know. As you said, I have two daughters. One of them is 13, the other one is 9, and I love to be here also because of them. The
Yeah.
schools are very nice. You don't need like to go to private schools because the schools are very good. They have ballet, they have kite surf, they have paddle, they have lots of outside activities, you know, that you cannot get in Lisbon. And also regarding the mindset of the parents and also of the kids, because like this weekend my house is going to be full of kids, because they in school they say, this weekend is going to be in my dad's home, and that the other weekend is going to be in another dad's home, and another one is going to. So it's also about that kind of life that you can have also with them, you know.
Brilliant, brilliant. Family life, perfectly possible. I'd like a few tips as well about, some of the projects that are going on. Of course, your flagship projects on the South Bank at the moment is Herdade Do Meio. Let's have a quick look at the video for it, and we'll come back, if we may, and talk to you about other opportunities or in Lisbon, perhaps, or on the South Bank. This is flagship Herdade Do Meio, which we are delighted to share with everybody.
Thank you.
So you're a sales manager of UrHome, the people behind that development. That makes your job pretty easy, doesn't it? Selling an amazing concept like that.
Yeah, the project is amazing, you know. I think that the development that is going to rise over there, that is already under construction, Herdade Do Meio, I think that is an unbelievable project, and for me it's very easy to sell.
Yes.
We have more than 35% of the project already sold. We expect to deliver the first houses in the end of 2025, so roughly 2.5, 3 years from now, and everything's going very smooth. The sales are going very good, and I think that people that know the project, and we have our showroom on the site, and people can go there and check out the maquettes and also the finishings of the house. People easily fall in love. You know, price wise, is very good. It's very good, the price. We are talking about houses that has 170 living space plus 80 of garage. So we're talking about 250 square meters of house, plus balconies and pool, and the plots are 350 square meters, the plots. And you're talking about houses of 600,000 euros.
And
You know?
energy self-sufficiency as well with
Yeah,
those.
yeah,
And
with
just
all
a few minutes from the railway station, and you can be on that
it's,
bridge.
it's
I saw you last
300
weekend.
meters from the rail.
Yeah, I saw you last weekend, and coming over to Araújo, crossing that bridge, it never fails to. I just feel fantastic driving. You know, like this is it. This is what I moved to Portugal for. This is one of those great high points in life. Driving across the 25 de Abril bridge. There's the I can't remember the official title, but there's Jesus welcoming you to
Yeah,
Lisbon,
Christ.
basically. Cristo Rey. And you know, you can travel from Herdade Do Meio on that bridge going the other way into town, can't you? And be into the capital in what, 20, 30 minutes?
25 minutes.
25
Like
minutes.
Lisbon is on the mouth of the bridge. You know, you just go out of the bridge and you're in Lisbon.
Yes.
So you're talking about from Herdade Do Meio until Marquês de Pombal, that is the center of Lisbon. Maybe you're talking about 17 kilometers, 18 kilometers. I can run to there.
You can. You do that 4 times.
If I don't have gas on the car, just go run to the office, you know.
Yes, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you did that. Anything else? Anything else to share with us this morning, Fernando, from UrHome and from Dynasty that's exciting that you can tell us about at the moment?
We have a couple of new projects always appearing. I think that's people that don't know, just go urhomeportugal.pt. They can check out our properties, our developments. As I said, we are always open to new investors. The idea of our company and our concept and make people invest their money and then win money. Like regarding Herdade Do Meio, like I told you, we are selling now 600,000 euros each property. And we expect when the properties are finished, the capital appreciation is going to be around 40%, you know.
Wow.
So you're talking about houses that can go 850, 900,000 euros. So we have many clients, many Portuguese clients that are buying there to live in, and also many clients that are buying to flip the house on the end. So they will make the profit, you know. So the
Amazing.
idea and the concept of UrHome Portugal and Dynasty, that is one of the companies that work with us, and Bobby is also the CEO of the company. It's making that part, you know, the combination of the purchasing the house and making a good investment in Portugal. But as I always tell Bobby, people that starts to come to Portugal to invest, they will come to live, you know. So the idea is normal,
well said.
as you maybe fall in love in Portugal. And I think it's very easy to fall in love in people that don't know Portugal, that think Portugal is part of Spain, because sometimes I already heard that, you know.
No one thinks that anymore, do they?
Yeah, for me, it's very offensive, you know. Portugal is not Spain,
right.
right?
Yeah.
Portugal, Spain is Spain, you know.
Yeah.
Just check out Portugal on the map. Check out the South Banks, Setúbal Peninsula. Check out Lisbon. And
well, look at these. I mean, this is wonderful. What a great job you have representing properties. Chiado, the very trendy Alcochete I see on there, Alcantara, near the LG factory there, Bento. What a lovely portfolio you have here.
We have plenty of buildings and plenty of opportunities for. We have houses from 250,000 euros to 25 million. So you cannot be called us as a luxury company, because we can give houses to everyone. You know, we have houses to all the pockets.
Absolutely. And finally, although I would like you to stay if I can keep you for a couple more minutes, because I've got 2 more questions for you. One of them is the Portugal quiz. But my first question is, what's it like working for Bobby O'Reilly?
It's an adventure. It is. Now, Bobby is I know Bobby for maybe like 8 years already.
Yeah.
And it's a person that you easily fall in love.
Yeah.
And you can get everything from him if you're straightforward with him, you know. I think that's one of the good things that I have with Bobby. I'm very honest. I'm not like I'm gray, you know. If I'm white or I'm black. I'm not a chameleon, you know. I cannot change. I don't have two sides. And I think Bobby also is like that. That's why we work very well together. We understand ourselves. And for us in our business, that is the construction and the sales business, for us it's very important to be on the same page, you know, because when we have meetings and I can go to a meeting and I will talk with someone and I know that what I'm doing, it's what Bobby will do if was over there, and also for him. So we have the same language. And he's a very interesting person. He's Irish, and I love beer, and Bobby also loves beer. So we are well connected.
It's a pretty good basis for a relationship.
So our base is very good,
That's superb. Well, say hello to him from us. He's very popular in this community too. So give him a shout from us this morning.
I will.
Finally, I know you said you like beer. Do you like Portuguese jam as well? We tasted the tomato jam yesterday from Casa de Mateus. And today's Portugal quiz question is, how long have you been jamming like this? Casa de Mateus, whose tomato jam we savoured yesterday on the morning show, not to be confused with Nicolau Nassoni's designed palace in Villarreal. They've been making their much-loved and deliciously diverse compotos for many decades. Casa de Mateus sweets have been prepared with carefully selected fruits which guarantee the same quality and tradition as always, they proudly tell us on their websites. But since when have they been canning their confections? Is it 1859, 1909, 1959, or 2009? How long do you think? Do you like that brand of jam, Fernando?
Yes, I do, but I don't know how many years they are doing it. But I'll tell like 1909.
Okay, we'll leave that hanging there, and others can go and guess at gmpvip.com or learnaboutportugal.com. It's been great hanging out with you. I hope you'll come back sometime soon and chat to us again, Fernando.
Thank you, mate. Have a nice day. Thank you very much.
And good luck with your 100K run in Abrantes. When's that happening?
It's 14 October. It's in 2 weeks' time.
So you're in solid training mode at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm on beast mode.
Not too many beers, I suspect. Okay, or jam for that matter. Take care. I love to all the UrHome Portugal team. Take care. Bye for now, mate. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you,
and we'll see you all tomorrow. Take care and bye for now.
Bom dia, Portugal! In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.